we said it. We said it for everybody was out there, and they were basically saying we got to get Trump out of office. We got to get Trump out of office. Now you got Joe Biden, and look at what happened. We've been saying all of this, all of the pardons that he is doing. I mean, all of the executive orders that he is signing. It is going to other people. We told y'all about this. Okay? And we said it over and over again. Hit that thumbs up button. Hold on, guys, because we told everybody about it. We said, listen, when this man get in office, he's not going to do nothing for black folks. We said it. He has this executive order, and look who all the executive orders are for. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and hit that like button. If you're on Instagram, go ahead and hit that like button on Instagram. Give the video a thumbs up. So that's what we're talking about today on the Lawyer Henderson show. We've been telling people that this is Kamala Harris and Jim Crow Joe Biden. The Jail Your Black Child duo. They're inaugurated now. They're in office now. And so the Black misleadership class is upset because they're not getting the phone calls back. And we told you that they're not getting the phone calls back. Lawyer Henderson shows live, ladies and gentlemen. Foolish American politics. Let's discuss the issue. My book is still out there, Barnes and Nobles. Also get it at Amazon.com. Don't forget, we're starting our university. We're starting our own college. Okay? University of Black Power. See that? It's our own college. University of Black Power. So that's where we are now, guys. We are at a point now, a pivotal moment in this society, this American society, where foundational Black people are getting crushed. We don't have anybody now to basically say that there's excuses for Joe Biden now that he has a Democratic House, a Democratic Senate, and he's a Democratic president. And as you see, at his first 100 days, he's gonna do nothing but he's gonna be doing nothing else but for the LGBT community, for immigrants, for other people, for gays, for other people, not Black folks. And where's the Black girl's magic? This Black girl magic that he used Black women for to get them all hype up. Now, what is he doing for the Black community? Nothing. Your Black misleadership class is the one who tried to shame Black men for going out to vote for these two. And you can keep saying all you want. Oh, he just got in there. He just got in office today. Well, He's already signed a lot of lengthy executive orders, and all of this have been for non-foundational Black people. We told you what this man was going to do. We sat there and told you. Okay. Go ahead and hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. And don't forget to basically hit the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're on Instagram, go ahead and like that. Biden's 17 executive orders and other directive in detail. The moves aim to strengthen protection for young immigrants. You see that? For young immigrants. That's exactly what he was going to do. They're undermining foundational Black people. And this is what happened when the Democrats are in office. Signing executive orders for other people. And we know that Kamala Harris is not a foundational Black American. In the first hour in the Oval Office, President-elect Joe Biden plans to sign more than a dozen executive orders to address challenges like COVID pandemic and student debt crisis. Biden order will also work to reverse many of those issues. Come on, people. These advertisement, man. Hold on, guys. Biden's orders will also work to reverse many of those issued by President Donald Trump, including the so-called Muslim travel ban and the construction of the wall along the U.S.-Mexican border. Senior members of Biden policy team said during a press briefing Tuesday evening that Biden will sign the executive orders immediately after his midday inauguration. Now, what is he signing? Okay. Now he's not signing any executive order for Black folks, the one that he praised about getting him in office. Okay? He's not signing that. His executive orders, of course, wants you to extend student loan pauses on your debt. That's not for Black folks, that's for everybody. Extend eviction and foreclosure moratoriums. That's only because white folks are suffering as well. Roll back President Trump's environmental action in order to protect public health and the environment and restore science. Reverse President Trump's executive orders excluding undocumented immigrants from the reapportionment count. Reapportionment count. Hope I said that right. That's for immigrants, illegals. Preserve the fortified protection for dreamers, again for immigrants. Reverse the Muslim ban, that's for Muslims. Stop border wall construction, that's for the legal immigrants again. You see, all of these Black folks who's out here shaming specifically Black men, this is what we have to now focus on. The Democrats have shown that they're not for Black folks at all. They have shown this over and over. And we're not saying that the Republicans are any better here. But look at all of his executive orders. If basically what he's saying here, if it doesn't benefit everybody, then I'm not going to sign it into law. Now, these fools met with him. Al Sharpton, he had Nappy Tappy Sharpton out there. He was basically they met behind closed doors. But what was going to be their decision to get Biden to do before he became the president? What did they ask him for? That's the question that we have to ask ourselves as Black folks. Because none of his executive orders is helping us. Now, people are like, well, student loan debt, that was going to help us. That okay, but he didn't sign that for Black folks. He signed that for all college students that's in debt. So we have to understand what's going on here with the Democratic Party. Those people who said you got to get out there and vote, you got to get out there and put the first Black woman as vice president in office, and you Black men, y'all need to stop this, misogynistic view about Kamala Harris. Yes, she put a lot of you niggers in jail, but so what? Y'all deserve it. This was the attitude of the tethered generation, these Black immigrants. They hate Black folks, and they're here to only undermine us, as Dr. Claude Anderson points out, that these immigrants are here to undermine us. That's the reason why we've told you in other commentaries that the Democratic Party has never been loyal to anybody. The Republicans at one point, or the Fusion clique, a Fusion organization, thought back during Reconstruction that the Democrats was going to be loyalists, but they wasn't. The Black folks thought that the Democrats are loyalists. But we're ending up with nothing. We're ending up with an empty hand. You understand? So we have basically bought into the game here of the Black girl magic. Bought into that, oh, Black folks did it again. And then when this man get in office, the first thing he worried about is Muslims. Stop a Muslim ban. First thing he worried about is immigrants, illegals, who's not even citizens of this country. This is your Democratic Party for you. This is all of this movement to get Trump out of office and get Trump gone, and we need him out of office. Now, this is what you're going to be talking about. Your LGBT community. We're going to be talking now about immigrants, illegal immigrants, and Dreamers Act. This is what we're going to be dealing with for the next 4 years with this man. And if Kamala Harris decides that she's going to run for president, you're going to have more of this foolishness. The idea here is that Jim Crow Joe Biden had told you and warned you, of course, that he was going to undermine everything that Donald Trump did, but it was not for your benefit as Black folks. Everybody else get an opportunity to soak the seeds of the stuff that we fought for, that we died for, that we put our blood and sweat and tears for, and we are not capitalizing on that. And that's because we got a lot of Black folks who don't understand the facts. They're too cowardly, and they're out here speaking for us, and they shouldn't be. That's the reason why your mainstream, lamestream white media, no one is paying attention to them, but they basically believe that they have some type of control. No, we have the new voices of Black media out here. We've been educating Black people on the fact that the Democrats has never, ever, ever, ever supported us. They've always turned their backs on us. And so now here's the problem, here's the question. The Black Miss Leadership class are not getting their phone calls back. Hell, they was not getting their phone calls back before this man even got into office. They were not getting their phone calls back. Where is the phone call that Kamala Harris and Jim Crow Joe Biden promised Black folks they were going to give? In fact, I remember it was the Democrats who said that they will meet with Ice Cube once they're elected to talk about his plan for Black America. And you see how they now ditching, they don't know who we are no more. That's because we got a lot of Black folks who are just ignorant to what the real truth about what's going on in politics. This is constantly what our parents did during the civil rights movement. Kept on relying upon a party who has ignored us for years, ever since the Voting Rights Act of 1965. This man basically has sat there and said to you that he is going to focus on LGBT. He's going to focus on illegals. He's going to focus on Muslims. He's going to focus on everybody else. He did not promise you anything, and this is the time to hold them accountable. Five one six 418 5867 is the number if you want to call in. But here's the thing. This is the reason why I call them the Jail Your Black Child duo. But this is not just for them jailing Black children or Black people. They basically have been jailing or putting in jail Black people, specifically adults. Kamala Harris have been putting Black women in jail, basically told them that they have to fight these wildfires while they were in prison, gave them lengthy prison sentence, ignored the fact that they were supposed to get out. This woman is a danger to society. You're calling her the first Black woman to be vice president? No, the first Indian woman to be president. And so, will this now put Black folks back to sleep because they have a less and soft core white supremacist in office? This is now, it's time to hit the snooze button. A lot of Black folks now can go back to sleep. They're going to go back to sleep. They're going to start now talking all this crap about, yeah, we did it. We had Black folks out there celebrating and out there thinking that they've arrived and made it because you have Kamala Harris as the first female vice president. And what is that going to do? We've already seen her in action when she was California Attorney General. We've seen how she basically acted with Black folks. This is the reason why I call her and Jim Crow Joe Biden the Jail Your Black Child duo. These two have a horrible record when it comes to justice and criminal justice. We in the New Voices of Black Media has been spreading that fact for years before this woman started to run her own, campaign. In fact, a campaign that was poor, a campaign that was basically defeated, but yet she kept her loyalty to white men. That's the only reason why this woman is even the vice president. You see, nobody has been kissing more tail to up against what these immigrant like Black immigrants have, especially your female immigrants. They make it very clear of how they love white daddy and white mommy. That's the reason why they abandon often their own countries, their shithole countries, to come over here. Their job is to undermine Black people in America. Kamala Harris, her own father says that she really, according to Judge Joe Brown, is not a Jamaican woman. You see? But I wanted to go back to this article on January 25th, 2019, when this mean-ass Kamala Harris woman decided that, man, when people start looking at her record, even when she announced her presidency, they knew that this woman was no good at all. So when I read an article, ladies and gentlemen, here, make sure that you understand that I'm reading this as far as fair use. And it was just basically just a critique and give you educational stuff. Screw2 got us on a shadow ban right now. Screw2 basically get upset when we tell the truth. Okay. And so therefore we have to tell the truth because the truth is the only thing that we can basically rely upon as far as moving forward as a people. But Afropunk did an article on Kamala Harris. And the article writes that a couple months ago, this guy, he basically, who was the writer, he stayed in California. And he was an activist and all of this. But he wrote an article about Kamala Harris. This guy, Blake. I think the Blake last name is not on here. But Blake said that a couple of months ago, he said, I was chilling at my partner's house watching football. During a commercial break, we started talking about Kamala Harris. And my partner, older cousin, shouted, Kamala Harris, she been locking niggas up at Renee, referring to Oakland courthouse, since way back in the day and was doing it with a smile on her face. He hasn't wrong. He hasn't wrong. Kamala Harris has spent her career as the district attorney of Alameda County, San Francisco, and as the attorney general, aka the top cop of California. Now, this woman basically has it in for Black people. And look at the ideal here as to why all of these non-foundational Black people, why white people basically want them in these government offices. Obama, not from here. Kamala Harris, not from here. Why is it that white people want all of these people who are immigrants to be in public office over Black folks who were born in this country? You got to ask that question. But Blake goes on to write about Kamala Harris by saying that as someone from the Bay Area and living in Oakland, I am constantly reminded of her history of locking up Black people in the Bay Area. Her track record consists of terrorizing Black communities through the prison industrial complex, and she had constantly shown herself to be an enemy to the masses of Black people. Now, folks, when y'all look at this inauguration that they had today, they try to say that it was social distancing, but that many people not showed up there. Nobody basically wanted these two in office. They didn't have the level of support that Trump had or Obama had. They didn't have the level of support held that George Bush had. These two, every time a so-called Black woman started to smile right next to white daddy, you got to move over because it's going to be some SHI, you know the rest. You get a Black woman, some old coon female, and she's right there next to white daddy. They're up to something seriously. And it's always, most likely, they're attacking a Black man. But Blake goes on to write for Afropunk that while I admit the symbol of having Black women as a president sounds nice, okay, number one, she's not a Black woman, but for the sake of argument, let's continue. It doesn't include Kamala Harris from being critiqued. I operated under the political belief that there's no good presidents. Presidents are just figureheads for the white supremacist settler colony state. I aim to have a principled critique of her record that advances black political through, yet Twitter has been filled of my misogynistic critique of Kamala. It is important we critique her while avoiding misogynist attacks, as there is no place for misogynists in the Black liberation movement. Now, whoever wrote this article is wrong. First of all, we're not being misogynistic if we're basically critiquing her on her record. If her record is only just arresting black people, that's not being misogynistic. That's basically we're letting people know, hey, this woman hates black people. And to call herself a black woman so that she can get the support of black folks, that even make her more dangerous. Kamala Harris is one of those women who basically you got to watch out for. Now, this woman has done all kinds of things to black people while she was the state attorney general of California. And if something happened to Jim Crow Joe Biden because he's in the early stage of dementia, this woman is going to be the president by law. She is supposed to take that position. And look at this as far as Kamala Harris locking all of those black people up. And why she got her zaddy, because as she did basically when she was there with what's his name, Willie Brown. Get down, Willie, get down, go downtown, Willie Brown. And having sex with him, and he basically gave her a job, bought her a nice car. So this was an immigrant that he basically put on. And yet, she basically even despised an old, no good Willie Brown. She's basically saying to him, like, look, I'm with this zaddy. My whole goal was to get with a white man, and now that I have a white man, the hell with you, Willie Brown. This is what this woman is about. You see, you got to understand when you have these bed wenches and who they prop up, you got to look at their history. You got to look at the fact as to why they come over here to undermine us, whose history goes back to the killing fields of the hills of North America. This guy, Panaki, who calls me up, he has an immigrant background. He cannot but stand foundational black people. He rationalized everything harsh that white people has done to foundational black people. That's the reason why I'm always cautious about even taking his calls, because he basically is not a foundational black person. His parents was from another, I forget where his parents is from, but he might call me up. But the ideal is that he despises foundational black Americans, people whose history goes back to the American killing fields. But when you have a person like Kamala Harris, and this has worked really, before I go in and going deep into it, this has worked for the Democrats and have worked for America, actually. Because see, you had a lot of black, white people who basically were downhard conservative, let's say in Georgia, let's say in Oklahoma, all of your red states that are now turning blue. These were hardcore white conservatives that now some of your moderate conservative was voting liberal. And so you had Jim Crow Joe Biden, though, even though he stole this election, even though that if you look at it, it wasn't because of COVID necessarily that he didn't have a packed house at his inauguration. It was the fact that if they really supported this man, they would have stayed out there and basically it would have been tens of thousands of people looking on, but it wasn't. This man is a disgrace. He sat in the House and Congress or the Senate for over 48 combined years, and he did nothing but basically set policy that undermines black folks. Him and Kamala Harris. And that's the reason why we call them the jail your black child duo. These two, along with Bill Clinton, you've seen Bill Clinton, they had Obama out there. Every time the camera's rolling, Obama has to be there because he basically, with his narcissistic personality, he cannot just leave the spotlight. He has to be there. He has to show up. Him and Michelle, they have to show up. No, shockingly, I didn't see George Bush there. I didn't see. I know Jimmy Carter didn't show up. But I seen Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was there. I did. That's who but I didn't see all the others. But anyway, Obama was going to be there. Anytime that Obama is basically anything having to do with the politics of this country or anything that's going to basically be about making sure that white supremacy live on, you got to look and see who is the black people that's going to be a part of that coloring. And Obama is always in the middle of it. He keep on writing these empty books that talks about nothing, that has no point. He keep on talking about all this stuff. Obama keep writing memoirs. It's like, dude, get somewhere and sit down. We already looked at your failed presidency. Now we got to look at Joe Biden's failed presidency, and we have to look at it for what it's worth. They forced Trump out of office. The white elitists and their black bootlegs all were putting their money into trying to undermine Donald Trump here. They got him out of the office, and they try to make it as seeing one mistake that Trump made is where he called the Secretary of State and asked them for the votes. And we already know that the people don't vote for the presidency. They vote for the popular of the two. And so it doesn't make no sense for him to have called the Secretary of State of Georgia. But what the white elitists have done is that they all had ganged up on Donald Trump and said, no, we got to get you out of office because these Negroes, they're looking at you, you're talking to them too harsh. A lot of white supremacists, they're out here doing a lot of things. The country is turning up. So let's do this forced ouster. Go back and look at my commentary on this forced ouster, what I've done. And it tells you about this issue here. It tells you why Jim Crow Joe Biden, they want him in office. This is because they can, like I said, sell this pandemic to us. The pandemic was supposed to be something that they wanted the vaccine to get there, to people. And they were having problems with Trump. They thought he stood in the way of that. But speaking of Trump, before he left office yesterday, he had pardoned a lot of people that is very much worth talking about. Okay? And we'll get back to Jim Crow Joe Biden here in a minute. But I want to talk about the pardons that Donald Trump, these people that he pardoned. And the U.S. Today basically did this, and he was basically right. He was a president that did not start no wars like George Bush did, like Obama did, like Bill Clinton didn't really fight a war. He just did like a 3 day strike on Saddam Hussein. I mean, no, on not Saddam Hussein, on Kosovo. He did some, and that was to undermine and to basically remove away from the whole Monica Lewinsky scandal. But anyway, to go back to the topic, is that it says that Donald Trump granted clemency to 144 people, not himself or family members, in his final hours. Now, remember that when you grant a pardon, basically people who are typically is doing federal time, been charged with federal crimes, and of course, if they have state charges, I don't think that he could basically pardon them, of course, on state, but he might. I think somebody said that he couldn't, but I thought that a president can pardon you regardless. But anyway, he pardoned high-profile figures, including Lil WAyne and rapper Kodak Black, and also the former city mayor, Detroit Mayor Kwane Kilpatrick. The article from US Today writes that after Trump landed in Florida on Air Force One, skipping the inauguration, he didn't go to the inauguration, and basically he should have. He basically had every right to. He was one of the first presidents in 150 something years who has skipped an inauguration, by the way. He announced a pardon for for the ex-husband of Fox News host Judge Jeanine Pirro. Albert Pirro, a former real estate associate of Trump's, was convicted on conspiracy and tax evasion charges. Several other high-profile figures received pardons, including former Representative Rick Reeds, Republican of Arizona, who was convicted in 2013 of extortion, bribery, insurance fraud, money laundering, and racketeering. Renzi left prison in 2017. Former Representative Randall Duke Cunningham, Republican of California, who was released from prison in 2013 after serving 8 years for charges of bribery, fraud, and tax evasion. Okay. Dwayne Michael Carter, the rapper known as Lil WAyne, who pleaded guilty to possession of firearm and ammunition by a convicted felon. Brody, who pleaded guilty to acting as an unregistered foreign agent and accepting money from Chinese and Malaysian interests to lobby the Trump administration. Bannon, who awaited trial in Manhattan on federal fraud charges tied to the border wall fundraising efforts. Okay, Trump and Bannon have had an up and down relationship since the provocative advisor left the White House in 2017. Trump banished Bannon from his inner circle, claiming he was a source of a critical book about the president. But Bannon still worked as a prominent backer of Trump's 2020 re-election campaign. Pardon followed intense lobbyists for weeks. Political allies defend attorneys and others stage in the intense lobby campaign, urging Trump to act on behalf of their clients. Now, here's the thing about these pardons. It was good that Kodak Black, Lil WAyne, Kwane Kilpatrick, all of them got pardons. I think those that basically show that even though, despite the fact you might call Donald Trump a Republican, it was not really for him to basically say, okay, I'm just going to get in office and act like a traditional Republican act. And that's the reason why the white supremacists didn't like him. And you can say, yeah, he's a white supremacist too. But what you couldn't say, though, is that he basically is a traditional conservative, just like this Mitch McConnell, or just like his vice president Mike Pence. I think what you have to understand here is that we didn't understand that the best thing that ever happened to black folks was to keep Trump in office, because he woke us up to the ideal of how racism is really just head on. Now that we have Kamala Harris and Jim Crow Joe Biden, now we can go back to playing games about racism and its institutionalized form, whereas it just undermines us as black folks instead of there being a direct shut out of racism towards us. You see, black folks like the nicer of the two. Oh, this is a nice white supremacist right here. I want him or her in office. I don't want that loudmouth Trump. You see, we had the ideal that things are going to get better just because this man is in office, and I'm telling you, he is more skillful. He is going to be way more skillful in a sense than Donald Trump. He's going to basically, now we know the reason why um, they put Biden in office. But what they didn't understand is that we in the black community, most of us, especially us in black intellectual society, we know Jim Crow Joe Biden's record. And we also know his vice president's record. That's the reason why they're not fooling us. And most of these people who are celebrating this inauguration of these two are coming from these foreign countries. They come from these black foreign countries, or they coming from overseas somewhere. They're the ones who basically say, oh yeah, yeah, we finally got Trump out of office. Oh yeah, see, these are these foreign coons, most of them, not all, but most. Because see, they know that when you have a liberal and a Democrat, whatever, so-called liberal in office, that they're going to start talking about what this this country could do for them, and this is to undermine black folks who built this country, whose ancestry goes back to the killing fields of the American South. As I was coming on, I was listening to Phil Scott. He basically did covered a story about two black female lesbians. They were staying in a country in, I want to say, in India. Somebody in the chat room, correct me if I'm wrong, but they were staying in India, and they were making money off the website, off their website. They were getting American money, okay, in India. And they were making money. They were making a lot of money from their online business, their online stores. They were making a lot of money, so much that they were able to live in a good neighborhood or a great neighborhood in India. And then when they start bragging about it, they basically had the people there upset with them, and got mad, and the government finally uh, you know told them that they had to leave the country. In fact, they basically what you call it, you know how when you have to leave out the country and stuff. But anyway, they got these two young girls out, and some of the people were real nasty to them. They were basically upset. How dare y'all come into our country and live better than us? See, people can come into the United States, these immigrants, they get all these tangibles from the government, like Joe Biden giving them all these tangibles. But when we go over to their country and stuff, and we start trying to live good, they kick you out. But these two black female lesbian girls, they were basically over there saying, oh yeah, we're living good. We got this American money saved up. And now they're getting kicked out the country. They did a press conference there before they had left, and they basically talked about, oh, it's because I'm LGBT. Nah, see, stop playing. You see, this is the type of games that the LGBT community play. No, it was not because you're LGBT. It's because you are black. Okay, let's stop playing games. They're kicking you out because they're like, man, no nigga come over to our country and they're doing better than us, and we're staying in this shithole. The government is not doing anything for us. And now we want these black women out of here because they're making a better living than us because they're getting their money wired to them from online sources where they're getting US dollars and transferring that into Indian currency or what have you, or even if they're taking American money and they're living good. But they just got kicked out of this country not too long ago. You understand? And that's because black folks, they have to always go online. They always have to show out. And when you show out, here that then basically means jealousy is a mile away. It's not a far away. You see, the people in India they were all on social media, and they were like, how dare these two? They came to our country living better than us. They disrespecting us. They're not paying taxes and stuff, or what have you. They were basically um, doing that. And I was like, well, why did they not, I mean, why did they have to go out there and start to talk about this? Why did they have to go on social media and talk about how they were making money? Why? And that's the problem. They went out there talking, running their mouth about how good they were living in this shithole country, and the natives get mad at you. See, black folks just cannot stop talking about their success story. They got to always run their mouths. And so now, unfortunately, they have to get kicked out. They're gone now. They have to come back to the United States. And the money that they have and they saved, of course, okay, now you have to come back here and you got to spend the same amount of money, okay, that we're spending over here. You see, that cheap rent that you had in India, that's gone now. All because you opened up your mouth and you told these Indian people that you don't pay taxes, or you basically have a business online where you get direct payments from American citizens over to India or any other country that whose dollars is undervalued. You can live rich over there, but you know when the natives get mad at you, they start hating on you because hate come everywhere, especially for black folks. Nobody wants to see us doing good. But the article, back to the article from US Today, it says that Trump intervened in the case of rapper Bill Capri, also known as Kodak Black. The president committed a 46-month sentence for lying on background check related to gun purchase. Robert Zangrillo, a Miami real estate developer who was part of the college entrance scandal, received a full pardon. He was accused of conspiring with a college consultant to bribe officials at the University of Southern California to designate his daughter as a recruit to the crew team. Paul Erickson, the former boyfriend of Russian operative Maria Butina, also received a pardon. He was sentenced last year to 84 months in prison on charges of wire fraud and money laundering. Among the white collar offenses, because you already know you're going to have the white collar offenses. That's what white people do. They basically, especially white men, they are all about extorting money, especially from their corporation, their jobs, and most of them who are in jail all across the country because of of these briberies and things that they have done. And the same thing with the stock market. It's just like a lot of other white men there has not been caught. I mean, people know what they're doing, but they just basically, you know, have not been caught. But you'll find that they basically get pardoned, and you'd be like, what the hell did they do? And it's all about wire fire fraud or embezzlement or something like that. But anyway, it goes on to say that among the white collar offenders, Trump commuted the sentence of Shalom Weiss, convicted in a 450 million mortgage and insurance fraud scheme. You see what I'm saying? He had been sentenced to 835 years after jumping bail. Wise was captured in Australia in 2000. His case was supported by Harvard Law professor Alan Dershowitz and Trump attorney Jay Sekulow. Wise have been scheduled for release in 2738. He's not going to be alive in 2738. Come on, stop playing. I don't know what white judges do that. I'm going to give you 500 years in jail. Fool, I'm not going to live that long. But no, here's the thing. I was all right. I was upset with Trump because he didn't commute the sentence of our sister Ashanti Shakur. I was really upset with him on that. But anyway, it goes on to say that Kenneth Carson was granted a full pardon in cyber stalking case. He is the longtime friend and associate of Jared Kushner, Trump, Trump's son-in-law, and Rudolph Giuliani, Trump's personal attorney. I also mad at Trump of having Giuliani as his attorney. um, the case involved charges that Cursors cyberstalk and harass his ex-wife and two other people, according to the federal criminal complaint. The allegations came to light when Cursors underwent the FBI background check for a potential appointment by Trump. While serving as an editor, the New York Observer in 2006, Curzon consulted with Trump and Kushner about a speech Trump gave to the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, an influential political organization. The intervention came as Trump campaigned for the White House. Kushner was publisher of the weekly paper, which is now online only publication. Now, here's the thing about these pardons. Like I said, most of your pardons comes with the ideal of these white collar crimes. Okay, now again, I don't see why Asante, any president, even Obama, I don't see why when he opened up the relationship with Cuba, I don't understand why he did not, pardon Asante Shakur. I'm still trying to figure out. There's no evidence that this woman killed any police officer here, none whatsoever. But they just upset because she fled America. But going on to talk about these pardons that the Trump administration had pardoned. Who didn't get pardoned? Trump family rioters. One of those people who did not get pardoned was Julian Assange, the WikiLeaks founder, indicted in 2019 on espionage charges, and Edward Snowden, the fugitive America who leaked secret files revealing vast surveillance operations carried out by the U.S. national security. Lawmakers have asked Trump not to pardon Assange and Snowden. Trump talked about aides about preemptive pardon for Republican lawmakers and other involvement in planning the protests January 6th who might face legal problems, and aide said. White House official talked Trump out of granting pardons connected to the riots. Now, here's the thing. Last-minute pardons, including disputed ones, are something of tradition for outgoing presidents. After he left office, President Bill Clinton pardoned fugitive financier Mark Rich, and he moved some analysts tied to financial contributions. In late 1992, his term soon to expire, President George H.W. Bush pardoned aides involved in Iran Contra scandal. Now, the things about this here, about these pardons, you got a lot of people who are doing federal crime that are innocent that I would have liked to seen on the list. But here's the problem with, about presidents trying to pardon people who are mostly involved in bribery and embezzlement and things of that nature. It almost seemed like, okay, if they get out, they're going to try to do the same thing again because a thief is going to always try to find ways to steal money. Okay, so like for instance, when Bill Clinton pardoned financier March Rich, you know, it was like, just I was curious. Okay, what's this Mark Rich doing now? Okay, now that he's out. Okay, but yeah, I did like the fact that Trump pardoned Kwane Kilpatrick. Now, yeah, I'm going to criticize Kilpatrick here because I thought that he was going to help change Detroit, but he was around there with them hoes, trying. He was worried more about chasing panties, as a lot of black men are, and not trying to seek power. He was worried about the hoes. Kwane Kilpatrick could have been a good Detroit mayor. They was relying up on him to rebuild that city while he was chasing his hoes. But do he get a second chance? Of course. But see, the problem is that if you're gonna chase hoes, stay out of politics because they're going to basically they're gonna be all in your business, especially when you're a young black mayor. I mean, they go after all black people, but specifically when you're a young black person, they're going to give you a lot of time because they feel like, okay, you're young, you have plenty of time to think about it, and you have plenty of time to get over your charges and things of that nature. So when you're a young black politician, oh, they go after you real good. You can't even use the restroom good enough in order to, for not to have the state or the feds on your back with that situation. So we already knew he was going to jail. Now, those of y'all who are on Instagram, we're going to cut off here in 23 seconds, but we're going to come back on so we can continue this. Those of y'all who's on live with me on YouTube, continue to basically listen. And let's take this music break real quick here on the Lawyer Henderson Show. All right. All right, so thank you all for joining me. 516-418-5867. Let's take some calls. Let's go to 647. Is that my good friend here? You're live with Lawyer Henderson. Go ahead. Hello?
How are you?
Hey man, how you?
I'm doing okay. Um, yeah, good conversation. I think I think one of the things that I wanted to chime in on was the whole topic of immigrants being used to undermine African Americans.
Okay.
And I think are they being used yet?
Right.
We have to understand that that's a tactic, right?
Yeah.
That's just a tactic. We have to look at what's happening as a result. So now they're using them, and now that African Americans are coming out and calling it out, now there's a term that's in process.
Right.
Called the diaspora, right?
Yes.
And it's divisive. So when we talk about this issue, we have to be very, very careful. Because it's a tactic that has been used for a long time. As a matter of fact,
right.
African Americans were used to go undermine people in Liberia and other countries. So we have to have, this is where scholarship comes in, this is where knowing history comes in.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
So it's a tactic that we've been used going to do the same thing, some of us, in the past, to other people and to other black people on the continent. So we have to understand what it is, and we shouldn't keep, and I'm not saying you did this, but we have to make sure not to characterize other blacks throughout the diaspora just because some of them are being used. We have to understand that, some of them are being used, but before they were being used, they were using other African Americans to undermine African Americans, right? So it's a big game, and I don't want people to get caught up in us versus them.
Right.
That's not what it is.
Okay.
And it causes division, and quite frankly, it's causing a division at a time when the bridges are being built between the diaspora and Africans on the continent quicker than I thought this ever would have happened. I never thought it would have happened. We have 19-year-olds in the United States up and moving to Africa and Panama, right?
Yeah.
We have 23 people, that's 23 African Americans receiving their Sierra Leone citizenship just today or yesterday.
Okay.
Yesterday. We have people going back to countries like Gambia in big numbers. Jamaicans going to Gambia, African Americans, blacks in the UK going to Gambia, Ghana, Tanzania, Rwanda. We're going so quickly. So it's a coincidence that the diaspora war is popping up at a time when we're making so much progress. So I just wanted to put that out there just to make sure that the listeners can have the full context of what's going on. So it doesn't cause further division.
Okay. So you're saying, okay, this division, are you saying that when we talk about immigrants undermining black people when they come up to the United States, are you saying that caused division? If that's caused, and that may cause division, but when we talk there about what we need as far as other people are getting those benefits and we're not, how do you suggest that we go about calling it out without having that division based upon the fact that we know as foundational Black Americans that the government is undermining our needs as it opposed to other people?
Well, it always has done that, so that should be a big surprise for us. I mean,
Okay.
we're in 2021 and we're surprised with that.
Right.
Big problems, right? So
yeah.
They've always done that. That's not anything new. Number two, how do you do it? You bring in history and you show the history of this being done at other points in history in other places.
Right.
Like I just brought up one example that African Americans were used to undermine Liberia.
Yeah.
Right? So if we talk about it in historical terms, and it helps the listeners to put it into context, and it helps them not to fall into the us versus them narrative, right?
Right.
Those people, us
Okay.
We just be careful because a lot of that's going on out here now.
Hmm.
Especially on places like YouTube and stuff. There's a lot of those immigrants, those people, and they're just doing this and and I'm just like, look, they use all of us.
Right.
We're all being used. We've all been used in one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
Still being used to this day. Everybody in the United States, black people all around the world. So to try to single out and to try to drive a wedge between us and our brothers and sisters, outside the country is dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
It's short-sighted. It's done without an abiding view of history.
Right.
To put it into context. And I just think that's how we should look at it, right? We shouldn't let it tear us down. There will always be examples. We have more turncoats in the United States, and we don't need to be talking about anybody else.
Right.
I mean, we got more than enough in the United States to deal with, right?
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of my thoughts. What are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, I think you're right. I think we do have a lot of. We have to talk about that the vision that we have, but we have to also get those people who are coming over here to get them to recognize why we do need to basically come together and talk about why that's very important for us. Like you said, that if we had African Americans who went and undermined Liberians, that's something we have to talk about as well. Um, this is actually really my first time hearing that. So I don't know at what point you're referring to. Um, but yeah, that is something that we have to discuss because it is becoming a problem. It's becoming a problem for us as Black people that there's no unity. But it also works in the benefit of the white supremacists who wants to keep us in that position, that situation. So I think you're right. I think we have to basically have a dialogue with our brothers and sisters of the continent and see if we can go from there. But basically, there has always been, like I said, it has always been there. But I don't think we had enough dialogue. I don't think we had enough conversation on it that we should have on it. Do you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, I think it just needs to be, like I said, it just needs to be put in context.
Okay.
Is it happening? Yes. Absolutely 100% is happening. But
Okay.
we just got to put it into context because what's happening is how people are running with it.
Mm-hmm.
Saying us and them, and they're doing this and they're doing that.
Well, here's the thing.
Don't understand history to get really turned up. And, those people, I'm like, no, that's not brothers and sisters. Like, we gotta,
Well, here's what. Okay, but I understand what you're saying, Patrick. But here's what we didn't like about Kamala Harris. We showed evidence that she basically put a lot of Black folks in jail. She laughed about it. She had them working for free while they were in prison. She dragged Black women out of their home based upon the fact their child didn't go to school or with truancy charges. And it was like we were so upset about that. For those of us who know about her history and what she's done, and that's really what we were talking about. We were talking about that this woman basically has done everything to undermine, destroy Black people. And so we were upset about that. And we should be, if there's evidence that she's basically that way.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Is there such a thing as a mixed race person?
Yes, there is. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not talking about Kamala Harris. I'm talking about a Black person.
Okay.
You see what I mean?
Right.
We got it, and I think you're bringing up a good point because we have to define these things.
Absolutely.
They have to be defined. Is she Black?
Hmm.
I don't know. If there's a such thing as a mixed race person, I would assume that she would be it.
Right.
If there is such a thing,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
If you're a mixed race person, that means you're mixed race. That means you can't be black, you're mixed race.
Okay.
Right? Possibly, right? So we have to define these terms so that we all know what we're talking about. Right? So when I say black people, we all are on the same page. Now, maybe somebody else has a different definition, and people are going to say, well, a lot of us are mixed up and all that, and I get it. But if your parentage, your direct parentage, in my opinion, this is my opinion,
Hmm.
if your direct parentage is mixed, then you are of mixed race.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
If your direct parent, if you're like Kamala Harris, her mom is Indian,
Hmm.
right? And her dad is actually mixed race. So, so she's mixed race.
Okay.
You know, and I think that's how we have to look at it. I think if we can define these terms, we can clear up a lot of the confusion around, these topics when we talk about, black people and other people. So that's kind of my thoughts on it.
All right. Yeah, I appreciate that. Appreciate you calling me up here and clarifying that for me.
No problem, man. Like you said, there's a lot of discussion that needs to be had, and we need to continue as a group to really kind of discuss these issues and trying to clarify,
Okay.
and find our way forward, right?
Right.
Like I said, I agree with you that these things are being done and they're using other people and other black people, they're using them in a way that will undermine us, right?
Right.
But we have to, you're doing a good thing by bringing it up because we do have to recognize, like, we all have to see it for what it is. So when these people pop up, and they pop up in certain positions, they pop up in the movies depicting our heroes, we know why. We know why they're getting these roles. There's plenty of black actors and actresses that are from this land, right? From the killing fields of the American South.
Right.
But and they can depict it better than anybody.
Yeah.
But to use someone else to do that, we have to understand why they're doing it. No shade on the black people that are taking the roles necessarily, but we have to understand why white people are choosing them. So it is an important topic.
Absolutely. That's true. It is important, and that's the reason why I was covering it. And I always try to cover these topics because they are basically worth talking about, and it's very important to talk about them. And maybe there may be some clarification, or maybe we just basically, like I said, come with some, solution to how we move forward. Coming together. So we. But yeah, that's anything else you want to say, Patrick, before I let you go?
I do want to say this.
Okay.
I do want to say that whole Harriet Tubman movie was so bogus.
Yeah.
She's probably the closest thing that we have as a people. She's the closest thing we have in the United States to what I would consider a superhero.
Right.
Right?
Uh-huh.
That's Harriet Tubman. What they did to her in that movie was so shameful. I didn't even see the movie. I read this part of the script, and I was like, this is heresy.
Yeah.
This is sickening.
Absolutely.
And they turned, instead of the white man being the villain, they turned the black man to be the villain. It was amazing. I was like,
yeah.
It's crazy. And that's another thing. Black men, we gotta understand what's being done to us.
Yeah.
And we gotta try to find a way to stop it. Right?
Absolutely.
Because they're really taking big shots at us. I mean, they're going into overdrive.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's these movie studios doing that. Yeah, they going, man. Yeah. Yep. The movie studios, they got a history of that. Sure do.
Yeah, they do have a history of it. They're ramping it up. And they're trying to cause the gender divide.
Yeah.
You know, black men against the black girl magic kind of thing. And it's just ridiculous. It's like, you know, like,
Yeah.
you know, and I don't necessarily fault some of the sisters for falling into it. I don't know if you heard,
Yeah.
but Cosmopolitan magazine, there was an interview, and there was an older woman who used to work for Cosmopolitan magazine,
Yeah.
and she actually came out and apologized for what she did to women, you know, including black women,
Hmm.
because she said we lied to them. She said what we did was we told them that free sex was great, that you didn't have to have a man put off marriage, put off children,
Uh-huh.
return as a man, and get what you need to get, right?
Right.
You know, um, 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 you know, that abortion is a great thing because yada 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 down the line.
Absolutely.
She said we did this
Yeah.
because to bring the woman in to the consumer market.
Right.
And she said all of our advertisers were behind us. She said the CIA was actually behind some of it, giving money and support. And she kind of apologized. It was an amazing interview. I was like, so they duped all these women.
Mm-hmm.
You know, women who are now 40 years old, not in a relationship,
Not right.
high risk pregnancy, and now they're miserable because they've been duped, they've been lied to.
They've been lied
They
to.
continue to be lied to.
Absolutely. Sure do. Sure do. Continue to be lied to.
The evidence, not a white editor, one of the white journalists for the magazine just came out and admitted it.
Right.
They lied to a whole nation of women.
Wow.
It's incredible.
Yeah, that's crazy. It really is. It's sad that yeah, a lot of women are basically lonely now, and because they basically felt like that they were being told the truth about not needing a man and stuff like that. So yeah.
Crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, man. But that's all I had.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for calling in.
I'll call back.
Thank you very much for that. All right, Patrick.
No problem.
All right, area code 314. Go ahead. What you got for me?
So you say Lawrence, the lawyer?
It's lawyer, man. Lawyer, not Lawrence. Lawyer.
Hello, Patrick. How you doing?
Oh, Patrick is gone off the air.
I agree with Patrick said about playing the role of characters that were pertaining to the American continent.
Right.
Those should be for native Africans, Native Americans, Native Black Americans. I mean, I'm sorry. Not from people not from those blacks that live in London. They're different. This stuff about people are the same because skin color is totally absurd. Blacks, Native blacks in America, United States citizens. They're not Africans. Africans will let you know that.
They will, especially when you go to that. Yeah.
And you come in there, you look at it as a purpose. You know, Africans got rid of a lot of their riffraff.
Okay.
Had been for a long time. A lot of them ended up over here.
Yeah. So what you
when you go?
No, go ahead.
When you go there, you look at it generally as a tourist, and some words that would describe you as being a foreigner. All
Let me ask you.
Some of those societies, yeah.
No, you said some of those societies is what? Like what kind of do they basically? I mean, do they like Americans coming there as far as going to those societies? I mean, or will they? I don't know. Will they get try to kill you, or I mean, what part of countries that you probably would not go to as far as their society or the way of
Well,
government?
if you don't worry about what part to go, I check the CIA travel advisory. You
Okay,
being a tourist, going to places. All countries like tourists. When you first come from the airport, they're happy.
okay,
You're ready to go back. You don't spend all your money. They anxious for you to get out of their cab as soon as possible so they can pick up another fare.
oh, okay, wow,
In those countries, because people's skin is dark, they don't get along with each other. Never had. In Ghana, you have 27 slave forts, what was, along the coastline. On the interior, you have 15.
hmm
Some as far north as Wa, which is right there at the Burkina Faso border. And it was basically paths that people made from walking from one place to the other.
mm
So if you want to retire in any country, really, that's basically what you're doing. You don't own the land, by the way. You only lease the land. For non-people of the country, it's 50 years. For people of the country who move abroad, it's 99 years. And land belongs to the stools. The stools represent the tribes. If you build a big lavish home on it, and when time comes for you to lease, if they don't want you to extend this lease, then try, then they're going to tell you got to go. You can take that house, put it in a bag, or you leave it there. They're going to claim it as theirs. So that's the reality.
absolutely.
If you're going to do business, you take on a business partner from the country. Usually they will own 51% of the business. I know that's that way in Zimbabwe.
Right. Yeah, I was going to ask you about what you think about the new president and the vice president. What do you think?
I don't consider Joe as a legitimate president until those 6 states are the problems with them all resolved. They should have been resolved. The people that you elect nowadays, they hardly work for them. I don't care who they are. Either party.
You think?
Kamala Harris Kamala Harris' mother was a Brahmin.
Mm,
In India, there's people that's your complexion, that's the Dalis.
right.
They're considered the untouchables. They're the lowest of the low.
Wow.
Her father is Jamaican. I think he's Jamaican. There's a lot of Germans that migrated to Jamaica
hmm
around the time of World War II, maybe before or a little later. I think he's of that extraction.
Do you think? Do you think that?
She,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think she was born here, but I don't think they were citizens of the United States. That 14th Amendment is very, very deceptive. See, the 14th Amendment really was intended, as far as the birthright was intended for blacks. It tried to settle the question that was raised in the Dred Scott case that was held in St. Louis at the courthouse there on Broadway
hmm
Market. Justice Taney said that Dred Scott, or a black man, had no right that a white man was bound to respect, which
Right.
was really true.
Mm.
And therefore, the 14th Amendment came into existence. And the 14th Amendment only applied to people that was born after it was enacted. So at the time it was passed, all quote unquote slaves or blacks, it couldn't apply to them because it couldn't be grandfathered. So those people would have to die in the status, the tedious status that they was in.
Wow.
It's like Abraham Lincoln and his Emancipation Proclamation. It really didn't mean anything because a proclamation is not a congressional act. And then it wasn't meant anything to the states who had said, I didn't want to be a part of you no more. They left. So that's typically the way that is. And yeah, I agree that African immigrants that come here, they are taking advantage of things that's laid out for blacks, native blacks.
Oh, that's interesting that you yeah, that's interesting that you admitted that.
Nigeria sent back about $23 billion a year to their home. And you hear from the native blacks complaining about dollars not staying in their community. Well, they don't live normally in your community.
Yeah.
But if you take an example of foreigners that's in the community, the neighborhoods, I say, they send money back in 90 seconds their country where they come from. So those dollars that the neighborhood native blacks spend at those stores, the profits go back to their community in their home country.
Absolutely.
It doesn't stay there to circulate around. If dollars not circulate around, then what good is it? You have to go try to go out 60 seconds from banks and so on and so on. It's still going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, if you start a business, you borrow money, and you trying to start.
All right. Well, the show is about to end, man. But I thank you for calling in, and we'll pick you up the next time. I'll come on tomorrow for you. All right, guys, that is the Lloyd Henderson show. Sorry, thank all my guests for coming on. Of course, we only come on for an hour and 30 minutes most of the time, so sorry. But anyway, thanks for everyone for listening on YouTube, Blog Talk Radio. Have a nice day. Bye.